Welcome back, guys. My name is Steven, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the importance of a setter. What a setter is, who the setter is, who it should be, and why we need them, and what their roles are. A lot of people may think that the setter position may not be the most glamorous position. Uh, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of monotonous stuff, but at the same time, it is very important. Without the setter, we don't have any book calls, right? And if we don't have any book calls, we're not making any sales. And if we're not making any sales, then we don't have a business, right? So when it comes to doing the setting, there is a certain mindset and a certain framework that we use in order to be successful. Um, the setter is the first line of defense. It's the first person that your potential client is meeting with. It's their first interaction with your company. And if we rub people off the wrong way, once they see one ad, they've seen 10 more right after it. If we don't take that moment in time to capture their attention, then they're going to be on to the next and you're going to lose that lead. And it's not that they were a bad lead. It's we didn't have the proper systems and structures in place in order to convince that person to book a call. Okay, so the setter is the first line of communication when it comes to the DM messaging. They're the first person that we speak to, that your client speaks to, in order to understand whether or not they would like to work with your company. So there's a couple of things that the setter has to do in order to intrigue the potential client enough to book the call. Okay. Now, the DM setter controls the flow in the conversations. They control the flow of booked calls, the amount of booked calls that you're able to get. If we have a bad DM setter, it doesn't matter if you have 700, 800 credit score people coming in. If you don't know how to engage with these people enough in order to make them interested to book a call, you're just wasting money, right? So the other thing is that you are not just a messenger, we're professional qualifiers, okay? We're trying to qualify these leads that come in within a couple of questions and get them interested so that way they book a call. We're not trying to have a 30-minute conversation, a 2, 3 day conversation with people. They seen the ad, they reached out with the keyword. There's a couple of questions that we can ask in a conversational flow in order to make the people feel like you're listening to what they need and get them interested enough to book the call. Okay. Now, every message that you send, it either builds or breaks trust. Okay. If we sound robotic, if we sound like, we didn't listen to what they just said and we're just copy pasting, then people are going to catch on to that and they're not going to feel genuine. They're not going to feel like they're talking to a real person and they'll lose interest. We either build trust or we break trust. Okay. Now, a great setter leads with curiosity. They listen and they qualify with confidence. So leading with curiosity, it's not just the same cookie cutter thing every single time. Now, there's a certain way that we open, but we personalize everything with the person's name or the type of company that they're in. There's a lot of things that these people have on their profiles that we can notice, and add a more personal touch to our messages. Now, the tone and the timing and the follow-up, the rhythm, the everything, the environment that you're creating in the messages, it has to flow correctly. Okay. We're not just asking questions and just shooting it out. Like, if that's the case, we can get an AI system to just shoot questions. We have research that has proven people don't like that, especially when dealing with finances. They want to know that they're talking to a live person, right? So we have to try really hard not to be robotic, even though we're sending 50, 100 messages a day and it is a lot of the same exact information over and over again. We still need to be personal. Okay. Now, with your tone, I always keep it very like friendly and professional, not really salesy. I'm never trying to sell them anything in the DMs. It's more of, let me see if I can help you. This is what we do. What are you looking for? Okay, well, I think we might be able to help you if you meet these qualifications. It sounds like we can, but I need more information. Let's do a call. That's basically the idea of the setup. We're trying to weed out the good from the bad. You know, people that we know can qualify and people that like, hey, you got a 500 credit score, you never paid nothing on time. Sorry, bro, the banks and nobody's going to give you money, right? We need to be able to discern that in the conversations before the conversation happens too long. And we're going to get to reasons why and stuff in later videos. Now, the mindset that we should have is that you're not bugging anyone, okay? You're opening the door to change their life. What we offer is we're selling money. As a startup business owner, there is no real other options for funding besides 0% business credit cards. Okay. That is one of the main points that we're trying to help people understand without just being like, oh, well, you don't qualify for anything else. Right. We're trying to get them to understand most traditional business loans and things like that, if they haven't already tried to get them themselves, they'll quickly realize that you need a lot more qualifications than you do for 0% business credit cards. Okay. You need 2 years time in business, tax returns, full docs, the whole nine. For business credit cards, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes in the DM messages, we have to break that down to people as well. It's not just qualifying that we're doing as a setter, we're also getting them to understand and to be curious enough that this could work for you. There is an alternate solution besides just using your own personal credit cards and destroying your personal credit, or using the cash flow from your business and sucking all the cash dry. Okay. Once they understand that, then we can present them with the solution. And since this is the only thing that we qualify for, this is how we're able to help. And that's what we pass them off to the closers for. And the closers can point out all of those pain points and everything for them. So the main idea of the setter is have the mindset that we're not bugging anybody, but really just trying to change their life. If they are not able to get these credit cards or get the funding that they need, what are they going to do? Are they just going to continue doing what they've been doing? How long have they been looking for this problem? Why are they interested? Things like that. Now, we're not a closer. Our job is to sort and to qualify and excite the lead enough to show up. Okay, we're not trying to pitch them. We're not trying to, promise things in the DMs, things like that. That's all what the Zoom call is for. Our goal as the setter is to qualify and to sell the Zoom call. That's the whole reason of the setting position. Get these people excited enough that they want to show up to a call and make sure that they qualify. That way we're not wasting anybody's time. Okay. Now, a good setter versus a weak setter. The good setters sound more human. Okay. They know what they're talking about. They're basically qualified enough to be a closer. That's kind of what we're doing is we're lowering people's guards down. Um, there's a lot of scams and things on the internet. I hear it all the time. I've never been scammed, but apparently there's a lot of scams out there. So we have to try to lower people's guard so that way they trust enough to even click a link or to even give you any type of personal information as far as their credit score or things like that. Some people see that as personal and private information. So our job as the DM setter is to lower their guards, intrigue their interest enough to where they are so excited they can't wait for the Zoom call. And they're following up with us, making sure that we got the Zoom link so that way, they can be on time. Okay. Now, bad setters are very robotic. They sound rushed. They're not paying attention to details. Um, you know, it shows. People can tell that you're not paying attention to them, especially if they just explained something in the previous message and then you're just using a copy paste template and you just copy paste and then like, bro, I just answered that question. Like, are you not listening to me? If you can't listen to a message, more than likely you're probably going to screw up my finances, and I don't want that. And that goes back to the building the trust and doing those things like I was talking about before. Now, we need to be direct, we need to be respectful, and we always need to be in control of the conversation. Okay. And I'll show you what I mean in another video, as far as how some conversations can get away from you and how you can allow one of the clients to just start going off and shooting off questions. And then next thing we know, we've answered a bunch of stuff and they don't even want to book a call anymore. And we kind of shot ourselves in the foot because we didn't follow the structure correctly. Okay. We can answer people's questions with redirecting back to our script or our structure. That way we can always get the outcome we are looking for, which is a Zoom appointment. So that way we can speak face to face and really get somebody, with their undivided attention. Okay. Now, the best setters show up daily. They hit their numbers. They have good conversations. They're respectful. They're human. They're going above and beyond. And if you really want to make a difference, that's what you do. And we'll get into the structure of, how I set up the day, what exactly it is that we do, how we get into all the messages, how we, you know, handle all of those different things in other videos. This one is more just so about the mindset of the setter and what the setter does. Okay. We don't want to wait for leads. You want to create the momentum with every DM. People don't have a lot of time. Okay. Especially if they're business owners, they're constantly on the move, they're constantly doing things. We need to try to figure out how not to draw out the conversation so long to where they got all their information and they don't need a call, or we already kind of said things we shouldn't have said too early. Maybe we told them the price, or maybe we already promised things without even knowing what their report looks like. So there's several different things that we can do that we'll get into in different videos, and I'll show you how to handle everything. But for now, I hope we have a good understanding of what the DM setter is. Uh, they are the first line of this defense. They represent the company. So the tone and the way that we message people, we need to continue to be human, not robotic. Have a good mindset. Everybody is an opportunity. We're not bugging people. We're trying to really improve their life and their business. Okay, so that's it for now. Meet me in the next video and we'll go over how to structure the day